When I considered who to invite to be our keynote commencement speaker, I looked for someone who is a role model for the type of leader we aspire to develop here at Ross. A person who not only has a successful career, but who always continues to make a profound impact on society and the future of business. André Branch embodies these qualities. His career has been highly successful and varied, as many of your careers will likely be. A seasoned C-suite executive with over 25 years leading and building brands in the consumer packaged good and luxury sectors. André's most recently served as a general manager of MAC Cosmetics in North America, after holding significant roles at Kraft Foods, Diageo, and L'Oreal, and leading iconic luxury brands including Viktor & Rolf, Flower Bomb, Diesel, Stella McCartney, and Ralph Lauren. André is also an independent board director for Signet Jewelers, Partnership with Children, and the Apollo Theater. He's also a proud MBA alumnus and a tireless ambassador and advocate for the Ross School. Please join me in welcoming André to the stage.
I think I'm a little taller than the dean. All right, good afternoon, Dean Matusik, distinguished faculty and guests, parents, family, friends, and of course, the graduating class of 2025. There we go. It is an immense honor to be here as your commencement speaker at my cherished alma mater and soon to officially be yours. I want to start by congratulating you all on this incredible achievement. Completing studies at the best business school in the world, yes, is no small feat. And I'm sure you spent many a late night finishing that case study that turned out to be way more complex than you thought. But of course, you couldn't miss the tailgating at the big house. Maybe for some of you, surviving the Michigan Winners was a feat in and of itself. For the family and friends who are here, the winners are like the business school version of a wilderness survival reality TV show, in case you didn't know. It gets cold. It's the only thing I don't miss about Ann Arbor. But whatever form adversity showed up in your life as during your studies, you were able to overcome it and accomplish your goal, and for that you should be immensely proud. I came to Ann Arbor from Baltimore, and back in 1999, I sat where you are today, full of hopes and dreams and optimism, convinced that I had something to offer this world, determined to witness success, and also happy that I didn't have to go to any more statistics classes. And I was fortunate enough to be part of the 90+% of you who had a job waiting for me as soon as I was handed my degree on the dais. And at that time, my only thoughts were about the amazing career and life that I would have now being part of this new elite group of graduates. It wasn't until some years later that I truly understood and appreciated the weight of responsibility that we as business leaders have and how much the decisions and behaviors we employ actually transcend business, stretching further to impact humanity itself. The school's mission is to build a better world through business. And as you transition from students to leaders on the world stage, I hope that you consider the great responsibility and the unique opportunity you have to continue to uplift humanity, because humanity needs you. Now, to be clear, we are living in an era of abundance. The average life expectancy is the longest it's ever been. We're experiencing a revolution in AI that will add trillions to the economy in the years to come. For my fellow Americans in the audience, we live in a country where diversity is our superpower, and the promise of being a better nation and the freedom to dare to dream make us the best in the world. There's a beautiful quote from one of my heroes, Frederick Douglass. He was a Baltimore man, by the way. He said, "I know of no soil better adapted to the growth of reform than American soil. I know of no country with conditions for effecting great changes in the settled order of things for for the development of right ideas in religion, governments, and society are more favorable than here in these United States. That's as true now as it was during the 19th century. However, there are constant threats to this abundance. Challenges such as global warming, setbacks from COVID, like learning poverty, political discourse, the recoil from globalization, the list goes on. So it is my hope that as you seek glory and achievement in your careers, as you should, you also see yourself as a broader leader with the responsibility to improve the global condition. Because the world is looking for the next generation of leaders to step forward. But not just any leader. Leaders with the right stuff. Here's a quick anecdote. I'm from Maryland, as I mentioned. And Marylanders are never satisfied with the seafood that we find in any other place outside of Maryland. You guys know that? Anybody know anybody from Maryland? You ever go to a restaurant with us? We love our seafood, but we're the biggest snobs when it comes to seafood. We know it's risky. We go out to a restaurant, and sometimes, we're missing our home state, but we can't help it. We're craving a genuine Maryland crab cake. And our friends look at us and they roll their eyes. They've seen this movie before. They know what's going to happen. We order the crab cake. We take a bite. And of course, it doesn't look like a Maryland crab cake. It doesn't taste like a Maryland crab cake. And we knew it wasn't going to be as good as that. But we were hoping that maybe they just get it right. But they often don't get it right because they're missing one essential ingredient. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it is Old Bay seasoning. That's the difference between an excellent Maryland crab cake and a distant and poor substitute. The essential ingredient. And I think it's an apropos analogy for leadership. During my journey, I've had the great fortune to walk alongside a wide variety of leaders. And what I notice is that the greats I call them, all had three things in common. Three ingredients that made them stand head and shoulders above the rest. And without these ingredients, to steal a term from my 11-year-old daughter and my 13-year-old son, a leader might be described as just being mid. I think that means being mediocre for some of the older generations. But the world isn't looking for mid leaders. It's looking for exceptional leaders. And I want to talk to you now about the three ingredients for exceptional leadership that I want you to consider as you start your journey. And the first is courage. Courage is what shows up when we understand the risks and perceived dangers, but proceed despite the fear. However, being courageous isn't easy. The reality is that most of us are easily sedated by inertia because we perceive the risk or effort to be too great. But complacency has its own risk. Where would we be without the Soviet Union naval officer who disobeyed orders and prevented nuclear war during the Cuban Missile Crisis, even though it could have meant his being accused of treason? Or without the disabled Queens, New York high school teacher who put her 30-year career on the line by speaking out against passing students along to meet quotas when they demonstrated no proficiency in the curriculum. Indeed, it is the courageous among us that keep disaster away, that hoist society up to higher ground and elevates our collective well-being. And yes, it exacts a toll. But great leaders know that regardless of the price, and even if we feel the fear, we must answer that call. Nothing gets better without courage. When the moments come, and they will come, find your courage with your profession, with your partner, with your families and friends, and you will realize a fulfilling life that unlocks all your potential with no regrets, and society will be better off for it. The second ingredient is purpose. My grandparents were children of the Jim Crow era, but they knew the world was changing and that it would create opportunities for our family. They wanted us to be able to take advantage of that. They believed in the dreams of Martin Luther King Jr. and John F. Kennedy. They had a vision of each generation after them fulfilling the American dream and living a life without limitations. And they saw access to education as the holy grail that would light the pathway. They poured into their children and their grandchildren. They were my guardian angels who would see to it that the dreams they had for me were realized. My grandfather was a building maintenance supervisor. My grandmother was a janitor in the Baltimore City public school systems. And we couldn't afford childcare, so my grandmother would take me to work with her every day, starting at the age of 3. As my mother worked, it was my grandparents who tutored me after school and chauffeured me around to my basketball and baseball games. Many years later, although they didn't get to see most of it, and my grandfather never got to see any of it, I became the first MBA in the family, the first independent board director of a publicly traded Fortune 500 company, the first in the family to be a senior corporate executive of a global organization. The lists of firsts go on and on. But it was all because of the purpose. Thank you. All because of the purpose and the why of James and Jackie Allen. When you have a strong enough why, anything is achievable. I learned that from a building supervisor and a janitor. But here's the thing about purpose. Once you discover what it is, know that it's yours and yours alone. No one needs to endorse it. No one needs to understand it. Whatever you choose to be, however you decide to show up, some people will love it and some people will not. Your cause, your why is for you and only you. You need to accept that because the world is a tricky place. And if you're not careful, you'll believe you must sacrifice your essence to be successful. And it would be the biggest mistake of your life because it will dim your light. It will suppress your greatness. And you all have greatness within you. You're not for everybody. We were never meant to be. And sometimes that can be a lonely road, but that's where the trailblazers tread. So lead with purpose. The third and final ingredient is having the right guiding values. I'm going to share something with you guys. For over 20 years now, I've been training in a martial art called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or BJJ as it's known colloquially. The people who know me, they know I love to talk about it because I just think it's such a beautiful art. There's poetry, bonding, and wellness, and the physical struggle of it all. And that feeds the soul. I train at a gym in New York. We call it the Blue Basement. Because you come in, you descend down the stairs, and you go to the training area. All the walls and the floors are covered with blue mats. Blue Basement. And the objective of BJJ is to wrestle your opponent to the ground and finish him with a joint lock or a chokehold. To prevent that from happening, they must submit or tap out. When we do well, we say, us. When we screw up, we say, us. And after training for so many years, I discovered that the values by which one lives on the mats to become a great BJJ practitioner are similar to the values by which one should live to be a great leader, an exceptional leader. And I want to share 5 values that I took from the Blue Basement to the boardroom because I believe they're universal and can lead to success in any walk of life. So here we go. Number 1, lead with humility and watch wisdom follow. Every now and then you get a visitor that comes to roll with the class and wants to show us how skilled or how tough he is. He can be quite aggressive in his approach. And that's when the instructor watching from across the room makes eye contact with one of the better players and matches the aggressor with someone who teaches him a lesson. A more experienced and tougher guy than the tough guy. And inevitably, the would-be challenger realizes his ego got the best of him and learns the lesson. Sometimes he's so embarrassed or humiliated that he never comes back. And the lesson is that attitude is everything in life. Positivity and humility create allies and build support. Life doesn't have to be a zero-sum game of winners and losers. If you want to get the most out of your experiences in life, show up with a learning attitude and listening ears, and approach it all with a sense of humility and gratefulness. Number 2, be a fragrance, not an odor. Now, it doesn't happen often, thankfully, but sometimes we come across people who were never taught that washing your training gear after rolling around in a hot room for over an hour with humans is a good idea. You know what happens to an outfit that's drenched in sweat and left in a locker to dry out over the next few days? It starts to grow limbs, and when you open up the locker, it walks out to greet you. Needless to say, no one wants to roll with the guy in the smelly gear. He soon finds himself to be an outcast and invokes the ire of the entire school. People turn their noses up at odors. As you go out into the world, think about how you can be a fragrance in someone's life, not an odor. Consciously consider how you can leave the folks that you touch on any given day with a gift that was simply their interaction with you. Because I've found that the saying is true. You get a lot more with honey than you do with vinegar. Number 3, keep resilience and patience in endless quantity and equal measure. You know, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a physical chess game that moves in inches. When addressing an opponent, it's the small incremental movements that open a window of opportunity and enable you to control and eventually dominate them. Literally half an inch in one direction or another can be the determinant of success or failure. When introduced to the challenges in life, they can be intimidating and overwhelming. We often seek success or resolution immediately, and we can give up on our vision when it doesn't come true in the time frame that we want. But life, my friends, is a marathon, not a sprint. And anything worth having or overcoming is worth waiting for. So be patient with your progress and stay focused on your dreams. But your patience must be matched by your resilience. In Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you find yourself in uncomfortable positions all the time. There's nothing worse than a 250-pound hairy guy with no T-shirt sitting on your chest with arms the size of tree trunks trying to smother your nose and mouth into his chest at 7 in the morning. Yes, pajama party at 7 in the morning. Come join me. But somehow, some way in that moment, if you can still your mind and find a tiny air pocket and breathe through that like a straw until he makes a mistake, maybe he shifts his weight just so, or in a moment of transition, he alleviates the pressure. You can turn the tides and win. You'll have those moments in life when it feels like 300 pounds are sitting right in the center of your chest, making it hard to breathe. But don't give up. Keep fighting. You only lose when you stop. At some point, things have to shift. Wait for your opportunity. Be resilient in pursuing your purpose. Be resilient in your relationships. Be resilient in the pursuit of your dreams. In BJJ, we say that a black belt is just a white belt who never quit. Number 4, love failure as much as you love success. When we train, we spend time sparring to apply the skills we've learned. Now, the novice goes into each sparring session trying to win, but the master goes into each sparring session attempting to learn. The problem with trying to win every session is that you only stick to the techniques that you know because you're good at that. It's a risk mitigation strategy. To grow, however, you must try new things. Inevitably, it leaves you exposed because you're often not very good at the new technique. The paradox of it all is that the only way you get to mastery is by trying to do the thing you're not good at. Some days you're the hammer, and some days you're the nail. In life, just like jiu-jitsu, you learn infinitely more by being the nail than you do by being the hammer. To constantly expand your capabilities and your potential, you must expose yourself to new ideas, new ways of thinking, and new challenges. You must become a version of yourself that doesn't exist. And you are bound to fail initially. When the lights dim and you feel like you're not just as good as you had hoped to be, and everything makes you look a little bit silly or you feel embarrassed, know that that is precisely where you want to be. And when these moments come, we say, "Us, and we go again." Be fine with being the nail. Embrace a mindset that welcomes failure and recognizes it as growth that will ultimately make you the hammer. And finally, number 5, reputation is formed in the wake of character. Be mindful of the ripples you leave in life. In BJJ, you entrust your health and mortality to the people with whom you train. When we've lost the battle and we're ready to submit to our opponent, we tap out. And your training partner immediately releases you. Doing so allows us to grow in the art because we trust one another to do more complex and highly destructive moves without injuring each other. To thrive in our community, You must be a person of integrity. And sometimes we see people getting ahead in life who seem to have used methods of dishonesty, subversion, fill in the blank of the dastardly thing to their benefit. In almost every situation I've seen where that was the case, their wayward ways eventually caught up to them. And I want to urge you to never be influenced by the by any means approach to progress. You will find that the thing you tolerate is the thing you become. Without integrity, we create a society of fear and destruction. We are all in this together and responsible for creating an environment that nourishes our growth as individuals and as a community. So align yourself with the people and the organizations that hold similar values, those that hold you to the standards with which you hold yourself. Always show up with integrity. And so, in closing, to the class of 2025, I hope that you will answer the call, because exceptional people are called to do exceptional things. As you go out into the world with your new shiny degrees, remember that you're not just working in business, but you're also working through business to shape the world. And it takes exceptional leadership, leaders with the right stuff, the right ingredients to change the world. And humanity needs you. It needs you to step boldly into the great game, knowing that courage isn't the absence of fear. Rather, it's choosing to act because the possibility matters more than the fear itself. It needs you to find your unbreakable and unapologetic why, because with a strong enough why, anything is possible. And it needs you to be relentless in the pursuit of your dreams, but to be even more relentless in holding true to your character. And if one day you find yourself a little stuck and in need of a helping hand, bring your gear and come hang out with me in the Blue Basement. Thank you for listening, and congratulations again. Go Blue. Us.
That was amazing. Thank you.